What's going on, guys? Should be almost live. And we're live. What's going on? Wednesday's daily stream. I've been offline for most of the morning after I did a little look at alts and everything. But now I'm going to be able to be online for hopefully the rest of the afternoon. About once a week, I have to kind of step out for at least half a day and just get something else done. So didn't really get to do too much on the update side and the trading side of things, but definitely a ton of stuff to cover. Bitcoin's been relatively flat. We're sitting right at daily open. That's why really am I zoomed in on lower time frames, but you can see us literally sitting around daily open. Daily open is this yellow dotted line here. So Bitcoin really flat to me. I'm not seeing anything too scary or too optimistic either. I continue to like to be long. I'm still long. The map here doesn't change. And honestly, I'm probably going to skip past any real Bitcoin updates today just because we spent so much time on it the last couple of days and really nothing's changed, right? From the bounce at 3,700, which I liked, our mid-trade resistance, I covered why that level to me is important. And then looking at the final target up here of around 41, 4,200, nothing of that has changed. And we go through these periods now for the past few weeks. It's been like this. It's like a Tuesday through Friday thing. It's like Bitcoin just sits still. Maybe, Bitcoin actually can break up today. It looks like it might. But for right now, when Bitcoin's doing literally no movement, I'm just not going to be too interested in tracking it or updating the chart or anything like that because I'm really viewing most of it as noise. Right. On the alt side of things, I am going to break down that study that I posted in the Discord that I posted on Twitter as well. But it's stuff that we've covered and we've been looking at right for ever since January, all of February. And it's just the concept of majors moving first, like we had on this push, right, from here to 4,100. You guys know it. ETH, Litecoin, EOS were really the biggest leaders. And then the cycle low plays really actually started working out in the past 2 weeks after Bitcoin dropped. So my view on that and how that affects my strategy, I'm going to talk about today and how you can kind of apply that or be thinking about that for your own strategy. That's kind of big picture what I'm going to talk about with that update. And then we will look at some individual plays. The one new idea that I executed at the beginning of the week, BNB, which continues to run. I liked a partial take profit this morning because to me, it kind of did look like it was going to come back. It's just not the style of trade that I'm as comfortable with, but maybe I should have moved a little bit slower here. I think it will get to that final target. I'll talk about why that's the final target. Alex, one-day tops line up at 410. There is no price has never been this high. This is an all-time high for BNB. Right. So there's no daily tops up there yet. This is a fib level. I'll talk about BNB here, but it looks like it's going to make it, right? And this is already turning into 18, 20% play, right? So this is kind of my little play of the week. Really happy with how this turned out. And I think it could continue to run until kind of that seller network ICO. Anyways, we'll look at BNB. That's going to be a really brief update. And then I'm also going to look at LOOM, which is, coming off the weekend. This was one of the plays on Friday. We talked about trigger being met and wanting to take this thing to the next swing high, right? Looking for another 20, 30% move. And for people that wanted to add, I know I wanted to add, or people that felt like they missed it, right? I wanted to kind of showcase or look at one level where I thought an add made sense, right? And that level for me, if this was all previous resistance in here, right, to me, this is kind of that attractive pullback area to 1508, as we covered on Monday, right? And it really, really looks good, right? We'll see, obviously, how the daily closes, but I know a couple guys in the Discord, I already saw you guys talking about it. Someone got filled at 1508, even the 1500 sat, buys got hit. So that's awesome. That's a beautiful reaction. I picked this and I covered a lot. It's just how LOOM reacted last time we broke above this 1440, right? We moved up. We had the pullback to this level before we continued to the first target, right? I'm just using history. I'm just using basic horizontal levels in history to kind of pick out this pullback and obviously aiming now for kind of that next big high target, right? So we'll look at LOOM a little bit there. Those are the two that I'm going to cover. Those are really the only two that I'm like actively tracking and trading this week. And I'll talk about why with the strategy of really I'm not too excited about most Binance coins right now. I think if Bitcoin continues to move up, almost all eyes are going to be on Bitcoin. I think a lot of the movement is going to continue to be on coins like Litecoin, ETH, EOS. It's just the same pattern that we also saw here, and it's why I posted that thread. Most of the Binance coins and other coins in mid caps don't really get a boost until Bitcoin can stop its movement, right? As Bitcoin's moving up and majors are moving up, that's what gets just most of the money. And then once this settles down, whether it ranges or whether it hits resistance or whatever it is, right, that's when Binance coins really start flying, right? So I still love exposure to Binance coins. I still love exposure to almost all alts, but I'll go kind of through strategy there. Anyways, that's all I got. That's kind of the outline. What we're going to cover. What's up, Adam Santiago, Jeremiah with the BitConnect joke. What's up, Rozier? And then Nana, Janzi. I think everyone knows that, but Jeremiah's definitely kidding. Janzi, quick question for you. A little bit longer. You can answer in Discord. Can you check out XMR? What's your opinion on security tokens XMR? So just that. I wouldn't really think about XMR as a security token. Right? Maybe those are two separate questions. I definitely can. What else? Santiago Valerio and Shub, what's going on? All right, let me jump into this, guys. I'm going to take my sweatshirt off because I'm really hot. And then I'll get into Bitcoin. All right, now I'm ready. So, the move, obviously, or the most important level to start the week, Monday, 3,700 support respected. All right, so after the big pop today, and we covered this yesterday, I'm still viewing the range the exact same way I viewed the range last time. Right, we have such a, just a week or two ago, we have the exact same range, the exact same price movements. Those levels are going to continue to be important to me. Right, and someone asked about this. Someone had a good question. I think it was Zero in the Discord. Zero is, I believe you're new to the Discord. Welcome. Was asking about, when does it make sense to continue playing the range versus when does it make sense to now switch and start thinking it's a trending market? Right, I'm going to continue to play the range as long as we're in the range. So it was the same thing that made me think, I have confirmation points of daily confirmation points, right? So when we're up here, 4120, we're still closing inside the range. I'm going to play the range. I'm going to expect a pullback. Same thing here, beginning of the week, when we're still closing above 3,700. I still like that as support. I'm going to continue to respect the range. So really, as long as price is respecting the range, I'm going to view it as a range, right? Once we break out of the range, if we have a daily close up here or something, then I start saying, okay, probably think that's definitely short-term bullish, and I start thinking, okay, maybe we actually are in a full-on trending market. Right. But for right now, guys, there's just not really an update. You can't even see the daily candle. It's just because it's right where we started today. And Bitcoin looks good. It could dump back down to support. It could very quickly move up to mid-range resistance. For me personally, I still like being long. I'm not being shaken out of this. I'm either fading or taking profit kind of in the 3,900 zone, or really what I want is the top of the range, right? For a nice kind of 10% move back to the top of the range, 4,200. So for me, I still like being long Bitcoin. I'm not shorting Bitcoin. As long as 3,700 holds, even if we fail here, as long as 3,700 holds, I continue to want to be in Bitcoin. I continue to want to be in alts. 3,700 just is the biggest, I would say, line in the sand for bulls and for all bullish action in the entire market. Right? It's the yearly open. It's the resistance support flip, which caught us after this fall. That there's just nothing really I need to add here because we cover it every single day, right? So Bitcoin, not giving me anything new. Don't want to focus on it too much. The only thing I am going to focus on is my thread earlier. I'm not sure how many people read it, or you don't need to read it, but it's stuff that I absolutely love kind of focusing on or writing about, studying, and that's how alts have reacted. Obviously, it's stuff that we cover in here every single day, so most of you guys are already familiar with kind of how I think about the market, but Bitcoin's driving all my decisions. And what I mean by that is for people that were with me in January, December, and for the past year, I'm always kind of having certain levels that are check marks for me to want to get into alts, right? So going into February, that was 3,700. As we cross that, right, obviously expect alts to move up. Same thing here, just to start the week. If 3,700 holds, I want to be in alts. I think majors are going to rebound. So I just took it a little step further and said, okay, very objectively, and what's the data showing? It's so clear if you look at ETH, EOS, everything else, as Bitcoin is making this move up, every single major is generally moving in lockstep. And it was on this move up. It was on the move up from 3,200 to 4,100, right? And what I mean by that is ETH and everything else is outperforming, right? So ETH and every other alt is doing something like that. Most other Binance coins are kind of underperforming. So they're either moving up, they're flat, or they're slightly down on the initial rise. And then after Bitcoin hits its top, and it happened here, and it happened here, right? ETH and the majors fall and Bitcoin would fall. And then this kind of, once we retrace a little bit and can trend sideways, right in here, this is when kind of mid caps actually started to move. It's a really rough drawing, but so taking that, just kind of that abstract or that big picture, while I do still love alts and I'm still very bullish on every single alt I've covered, at least short term, I think alt prices are great. Really, the primary focus for me right now continues to be majors, right? So it continues to be, I really like being long ADA, even if it still hasn't moved. We covered why I like being long on ETH yesterday, right? It already gave a nice little 3 or 5% move. Well, for me, I just think this is where most of the action is going to be. And until Bitcoin can either hit a resistance or until Bitcoin slows down a little bit or goes back to just kind of fizzling out for a little bit, I'm not, it's not that you shouldn't be buying mid caps. I think you should do whatever you want. But I'm not in a rush, right? I'm not like eyeing out 4 or 5 setups every single day to buy a bunch of mid caps, because really they're all flat, right? Like I can look at every single mid cap. That's not going to work. I can look at every single mid cap on the right side of my screen. I know you guys can't see it. You can see it over here. Well, you can't see the percentages. But if you look on Binance, you look at CoinMarketCap, right? Most mid caps are not like flying right now. It's just because I still think most of the action, almost all of the action, is going to take place in the large caps and on Bitcoin. Right. Of the 2 coins that I do think are interesting to be tracking, you guys know BNB. This is the trade I started the week with. Whole setup for this one if you missed it yesterday, or if you just couldn't kind of understand what I was talking about in the Discord. Right, I listened to this call on Monday. CZ was talking about plans for the launch pad and different ways the token could be used. I saw the market reacting on really small time frames, right? And it was just one of those things where the market's so inefficient. Sure, there are now more hedge funds and more, big, incredibly smart people focused on trading this stuff and trying to make money, but it's nothing like FX or stock markets where things are reacting in milliseconds. And I honestly think you can still beat the market in terms of speed, and that just isn't possible in other markets. Right? So literally just me sitting here all day, I have an edge over most of the rest of the world that isn't focused on this stuff all the time and kind of into it, maybe as some other people. So I watched that call. Technically what the setup was, right? We have daily closes above this resistance, 302,000 sats. That was enough for me to want to play long, right? The setup that I showed in the Discord, right, is this little 32% swing, 30% swing, and willing to give myself room either below this 300,000 sat stop loss. I think that'd be a little bit tight. I'm kind of willing to give it this much room. Today I like the partial take profit. We're halfway through the trade, a little 10, 15% take profit. But it does look like this one's going to make it to the final target. How I'm choosing this one, I know, Alex, you had a question on this. Price has never been this high, right? So there's no daily level. Oh, I see what you mean. You're probably saying this trend line. Yeah, that's pretty close. It's actually based on a fib extension, right? So what I did here is I like to use fib retracements. Fib extensions, I don't really expect most people to use these, and you really don't even need to know how to use them, but it's just going to project out possible levels of resistance, right? So a normal fib retracement, if this is too much for you, that's fine. You don't need to use fibs. I find them helpful, but a lot of people kind of find them as noise, right? A normal fib, I'm just going to draw from a swing low up to a swing high, right? And kind of find a possible level of retracement, right? This is the trend. This is the retracement. This is where the trend keeps going. Right? A fib extension is just kind of takes one more step. So it's not only first click, right? Trend up and the retracement, and it's projecting out kind of these levels. Right? So if I actually showed the trend line down here, let's make it blue. Right? You can see it's showing the trend up, the retracement, and the extension. Yeah. So I'm thinking like 400,000 sats, 405. I think those are both fine. the whole reason I want to take profit on this, guys, I know it's going vertical, and for people that are trading BNB or thinking about buying it, it's just not really like what I think, I guess, is ideal. I generally, you just don't want to be buying massive green candles of a chart that's just going nearly vertical. For me, though, it made sense from the technical perspective, and I knew that I could manage risk, right? If this did fail, I would just get stopped out for that 3 or 4%. It made too much sense from the fundamental and technical perspective, so I wouldn't be buying it now. I mean, the chart is literally vertical, and that's even if it goes another 2x, I'm happy kind of not buying now and taking on that much risk. You know, if anything, once it hits this target, you know, I could look for a retest or something like that, but that's kind of what I'm looking at for BNB. But Alex, thanks for pointing that out. I do think that's an interesting trend line. Right. It's going to be pretty much the same area. Maybe a little bit off. Yeah, 400,000 sats, 405,000 sats. Yeah. That's what I'm targeting, guys. This one's turned out to a real winner. That's 20% in 2 days. You just love to see it. All right. The other idea from the beginning of the week is LOOM, and this one was also helpful for people that felt like they missed it. I definitely wanted to add more size, so I'm happy to see the way it's reacting today as well. And once again, since I'm just not so excited about trading too many mid caps right now, I just think most of the action is going to be on Bitcoin and ETH and everything else. Really only looking for a few coins that are showing momentum, right? So LOOM is definitely one of them. BNB is one of them. And this was the idea from Monday, right? Was taking, you know what? I'll make this a little bit simpler. You know, this resistance right here, this 1440 resistance, this big red box, right? You can see the whole trigger for this trade was closes above this level, right? 1440. Why is that important to me? Because the last time we were able to close above that is when we made the push, right? Another 30% move, right? So when I see that condition happen on Friday or over the weekend, right? I want to buy more. It took off. I know some people missed it. So I start thinking, okay, if I do want to add, or other people do want to add, where did price kind of give that option in the last time? And last time it moved up, it retraced to around 1508, 1510 sats, right? So I just take that horizontal level, bring it on over, and as price retraces, right, not only is this now a nice little retracement level based on history, but this is a good little resistance support flip, right? This was all that resistance, now expecting this level to be support, right? So that's what we got today. I love to see the reaction. I know a couple of people got to add, like I said. So for me, LOOM, the target, whether or not it actually goes deeper into this retest zone, I'd be cool with that, right? Slow me down if that concept didn't make sense, guys. I think that's pretty easy. This is all previous resistance. This is all previous resistance, right? So the ideal fill is down here at 1440, right? The reason that I wanted to buy a little bit higher, that's kind of the top of the buy zone, is just because, you know, looking at what price did last time we moved up, we had a slight retracement here. So I just bring that price all the way over, right, to give myself an idea of where it could retrace to. And that is literally what we see today, right? And what I'm aiming for there as we retrace, you know, I'm now looking at where did the last move take us? What's the daily level that the last move took us to? And that's right in here, 30%. Obviously, you want a little bit higher, but 30% is kind of this first daily resistance that I think is really important. So I like LOOM. I like how that's reacting. But that's nice, guys. That's a really nice start here. Cool. Yep, fundamentals are insane. And then the other thing going along with LOOM for people that are trading this and to be watching out for is if news comes out about Neon District, right, which is a game created by a few pretty prominent people in the industry, but it's going to be one of the first kind of distributed or decentralized games that they think could get mass adoption. We'll see how big it actually gets. I'm a little bit skeptical, but it has nice backing, and that's actually going to be running on LOOM. Right, so that's if any news comes out about Neon District, I'm sure you'll see it all over Twitter. I think this would react quite positively. Right? But I'd be fine even if this dips a little bit lower. If it gets back into 1500, I'd probably buy more. Anything at 1440, 1450, I'd buy more. And I'm looking to take it up. The idea is wrong for me here. It doesn't mean it has to work out. I will lose some trades. If Bitcoin turns around, I imagine this would turn around as well. Right, so I'm willing to give it like that 5, 6, 7% and looking to run up about 30. I think that one's a pretty easy setup to understand as well in terms of why I like that. Fundamentally, it's all there too. Right? Cool. BNB just jumped how much? Oh, wow. That's just insane. That is just insane. We might see full target get hit during the stream. Anyways, guys, that's fun. Makes for a nice week. Past that, ETH and ADA, I talked about why I like these yesterday. I don't really need to go too much more in depth with these. I think if Bitcoin can move up, especially above 3,800, I think the ETH makes the full 20%. And I also think this ADA play finally kind of, I can be vindicated on this, and I think ADA would do quite well. So for ETH and ADA, I'm going to be very, very patient with. My two very active swings for the week are BNB and LOOM. This one makes me happy. And then LOOM, I think will probably take a little bit longer to play out, but it's definitely a nice start. And it's nice to see some guys from the Discord get filled at 1508, literally at the bottom of the wick. Right? What do we got question-wise? I'd love to cover some other things since we have a little bit of time. And then I'm going to jump back into the Discord so we can update some charts. What do we got? What do we got? XMR, Janzi. I haven't seen an XMR chart in some time. I wonder where that is. That's not too interesting to me. What's the... Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I don't know what it is with privacy coins lately. JNZ, privacy coins are one thing that I'm very, very bullish on. I would say that and exchange tokens are probably two alts that I think I'm actually bullish on and can say that like confidently. But in terms of trading, I don't think sectors matter as much, right? In terms of XMR, TA-wise, what I'd be watching here, it's definitely riding this little trend line up. This is a little bit different than the style I generally want to play. Right? But if I'm going to call... XMR just doesn't really look like any other chart right now. So it is riding this little trend line up. Really, since I just don't think it's one of the cleanest looks, I'd personally kind of still be waiting for like the 0.012 until it finds daily resistance. It has like 10% to run. I know that's a small amount. And then really the next level of significance for me, yeah, it's probably going to be a little bit closer to here. Right? So there's only two setups that I kind of see for XMR if I was looking to be a buyer. And that would be if this little trend line here fails. We have 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, 4 touch. We're on it right now. If this fails, right, I would find this level attractive, 0.012 area, and looking to ride it up to here or looking to ride it up farther. Or I could also see a scenario of, let's say this trend line does continue to work and it looks like we continue to kind of bounce up into this resistance right here. Right. The last two little price swings you've gone up here. If price does rise and it hangs around here, right, I think that would be also an attractive buy. And if you want to see where I'm pulling that support from, it's just back here. It's 0.014. And it also kind of, this is really the current swing high. Right, so I think XMR gets attractive either at confirmed closes above this level. Right now we only have wicks. Confirmed closes above this level. And then I'd be targeting a much bigger move, something like to 0.1076, and that'd be like a 25% move. Or if I get the drop down to here. Right now, I generally don't like to base setups off one sole trend line. I really kind of want to be using horizontal levels. So that's what I'm viewing for XMR TA-wise. Janzi, I know that chart's a little bit abstract, but I think it could be a good look. Shu, bullish on privacy coins as a sector. I really like XMR, ZEC. I'm viewing all these as trades, right? I could talk for 30 minutes about why privacy coins make sense. But I really just view alts as trades for me. Let's take a look at BNB. 373. Yep, it's really doing it. It is really doing it. Man, it's awesome to see. Always good when we can start the week with a little 30 or 40%. Yeah. Anyways, guys, I know some people are probably waiting for me to find some new trade ideas. Like I said, I'm just not in a rush to be adding new alt setups. It doesn't mean that you can't be adding your own alt setups. We've covered the framework probably for like every single day for 30 days straight on why I think cycle low plays make sense. I think any cycle low idea makes sense, and I'd be happy to kind of talk about them in discussion room if I'm online. But for me, I'm really comfortable with my Bitcoin longs. That's working out nicely. The BNB trade is flying, and the LOOM retest is fine for me. So right now, that's really all I'm actively trading. If all of a sudden Bitcoin gets above here, right, that'll probably make me even more short-term bullish for Bitcoin. And probably by the end of the week, I'll be looking to open it up a little bit more on some mid-cap alts or Binance alts or majors. But for right now, guys, everything's kind of working, and I don't want to just be adding risk just to kind of tack on risk. It's been a strong January, February, and March kind of seems to be working out even better. So for right now, I want to respect it. I don't want to get kind of too out of control and just be adding trades just to trade. Continue to move slow, and that's kind of what I'm seeing here. The Bitcoin map, like I said, I'm not going to go over it. We covered it a ton yesterday. Frank has a question. So you're bullish about XMR and BNB. Any other coins you're bullish on? Fundamentally, not trading-wise. No, there's quite a few, Frank. I mean, Tomo, that's why it's one of my longer-term ideas. I'm bullish on that fundamentally. I think comparable to other projects that are like it, I think it's undervalued. I'm bullish on quite a few sectors. I think any coin that's trying to scale Ethereum, whether or not they actually succeed, I think it's kind of a sexy topic, and I think narrative and hype-wise, it can do quite well. I am bullish on not really too many exchange coins. I am bullish on BNB, and I was discussing this with a couple, I won't say his name, but a rather prominent person who kind of really doesn't like BNB. And you know what? I mean, as a trade, I'm bullish on it. Like, it's the reason I took this, and I'm not bullish on it at these prices long term. I do think there's a little bit too much hype factor, a little bit too much narrative factor, and there's just a lot of things that aren't as transparent in terms of whether or not this is a correct evaluation of something that's really only used for trading fees, now Launchpad. But I'm very bullish on the Binance project. Right? So as long as they continue to push out things, it really doesn't matter what the valuation technique is. It's just a lot more about what the community and what sentiment and what individual retail traders think. And right now, people think BNB doing very good means the BNB token should be valued higher. Right? So as a trader, that's fine for me. Right? I can literally see it every single day on Twitter. People, for some reason, think BNB is like a stock of Binance. And it's not at all, but that's fine if they think that, right? I'll continue to kind of trade it. XMR, privacy coins, the reason I'm bullish on those is simply because I value that. If Bitcoin adds those features later, then I guess it's going to be an experiment of whether or not they die off. But I think financial privacy is massive. I mean, even little things about like being paid in Bitcoin, it already kind of poses some problems of people can track your Bitcoin addresses and things like that. So that alone kind of, the use cases are kind of there. I think that's one of the most proven use cases is privacy. Valerio, yeah, I can take a look at Xerox. Opinion on BlockFi? Not really. I'm having a conversation with the CEO, Zach, on Monday. I'm going to record it and ask about all the questions that Twitter has. I don't have an opinion on it. I think it's great. I think it's really cool. I mean, you get paid 6% in Bitcoin, right? I know some people have problems with that and say it's not sustainable. Maybe it isn't sustainable, and I think they have to lower the rates. I think, honestly, it's more a marketing thing. Pomp is helping them and is an investor, and Novogratz is. I know they're not investing in a scam. I know it's not a scam. I honestly think it's very smart marketing. I don't think they're going to offer a 6% rate for long. I think it was on purpose to get a lot of marketing. I think they're a very, very smart team. I think they're a competent team, and I think it's a cool project. Valerio, ZRX. We looked at ZRX the other day. Kind of forget what we looked at. And which chart? That's not the chart. That's not the chart either. You know what? Look at this one. I remember we were looking at ZRX. For right now, Valerio, I kind of have a framework that's working so well that I really don't want to deviate from it too much, right? Do you have like a specific question with this, Valerio? Do you have a position or looking to add? It's going to help me kind of tell you what I'm seeing here. Shub, I can take a look at Tron. But really, I'm not too interested in NZRX, and it could just fly here. I mean, the chart looks kind of good. You could draw a massive falling wedge if you want. The levels that I'm focused on in terms of price, right? This was very clearly support, and the reason I know that level of significance, right when that 7,900 sat area breaks, right? That's when we kind of had an even steeper fall. The support that I think is interesting is going to be back here. It's like our April low. It's another cycle low, if you remember. So that support to me is interesting. Immediate resistance above is pretty close, like 7,900 sats, right? What is it, like a 20% move? I think it could run 20% to there, but really it becomes an attractive buy down in kind of the 5,500 sat area. That's where I would really like to play it. I think if it got down there, I'd find it a lot more attractive. I'd kind of be chomping to take that. Yeah, volume's definitely kicking in today. I know that's exciting, but for me, it's kind of in like a mid-range area. It could turn up out of nowhere. I mean, the thing with, and I get asked this a lot, someone will kind of say, why don't you look at this coin, or why don't you want to trade this coin? It's not so much that this setup is any worse than one of my setups. It's just that I feel like if I have kind of a pattern or something that's really working for me, right, I want to continue to exploit that. And there's also charts that I think look really good, but I just don't want to be in 10 different trades or be tracking 50 different coins. Right? I think this does look good as well. The resistance that I'd be looking to if you were long, I'd be looking at the 7,900 resistance. That's a 20% move up, and I do think there's going to be selling pressure there. This is where I'd probably actually want to take it, is 555. Right? Whether or not we actually get that remains to be seen. Tron, Shub. The idea for this one with Tron is the double top, kind of fractal, whatever you want to call it, pattern is playing out the same way it did back here in March, May. And I'm not too interested in Tron until it gets way back down to like 510 sats, right? This is the only coin, Quant Fiction, I believe his name is on Twitter. He does like a lot of really cool stats with cryptos. And this is the only coin that has completely broke correlation with other majors, in that it's just been falling ever since. The reason we have this, right? This is kind of the BTT token sale, right? BitTorrent. This is all the hype. And then this is the snapshot. And ever since, and we talked about it all January, this was kind of the one play where I thought it made sense. If you do want to be hedging, if you do want to be shorting an alt to get rid of that alt exposure, right? It's Tron. And I think this thing continues to fall. Even if it turns up, I just think it's weak, right? If we think about the reason being, Shub, if we look at ADA or ETH or any of the other coins, most of them are still trading down in here, right? Obviously the charts aren't the exact same, but like, just take a quick look at ADA. It hasn't gone on a crazy 2, 3, 4x run. Even EOS and Litecoin, the ones that did well, still didn't do that. Like Tron is like comparatively, if you're just comparing them from a technical perspective, Tron's like up here, right? Since January or February or December or whatever it was, it already ran at 150 or something, 200%. Right? So for me, I think that Tron kind of has to unwind. I know there's the ETH chart, but Tron's still up here. I think it has to unwind before that gets attractive. Right? That's kind of what I think for Tron. And it's played out. So far, it's down 20% since we talked about it. So that's my view on Tron. I'm just not too interested in it. I think Justin does an incredible job hyping it. But for me, it's not an interesting trade until it's kind of back to earth. All right. That's all I got, guys. I'm going to wrap this up. So we're at 30 minutes. Like I said, I'm hesitant on new ideas. BNB, this is insane. That's a nice little 30% win to start the week, start off March. Hell yeah, guys. Looking for a sell. For people that are long BNB, don't get too mesmerized by these green candles and start thinking this thing will never stop. Things do retrace. Even if they continue, like it did here at all-time high and at the previous resistance, things do retrace. So I know this thing's on a moon mission. I do want to take profits at 400,000 sats or 405,000 sats, 410,000 sats. That doesn't mean you have to take profit there, but do have profit taking and targets set if it is a trade for you. Right? Don't get caught up in your emotions or FOMO or greed. If all of a sudden we close above here, sure, maybe I take on another little scalp. But for me, that's fine. 30% on a chart that's literally vertical. I almost feel like I'm kind of stealing from the market with how well this trade worked out. All right, there's that one. And then LOOM is the other thing that I'm really actively trading this week, or actively kind of tracking. I went through and I covered this in alt trade updates. If you want to understand kind of why this is a nice pullback area for me, anything down to 1440, 1450, I think is attractive. And I'm looking to ride up to 1880, 1890. The other the other cycle low plays, the other alts that I've been excited about, I still quite like. I'm not too optimistic on them very, very short term. I think they're going to continue to be rather slow. I think most of the action is going to be in Bitcoin. Most of the action is going to be in ETH and the one or two runners. Right now we have BNB. All right, that's all I have, guys. If you're watching Bitcoin, for any insight, 39 or closes above 39.20 would be outright bullish for me. If we start closing above here or moving above here, right? I think the move to 4,200 happens quick. This is the line that needs to hold for the entire market, right? If price does dump, 3,700 has to hold. If 3,700 breaks, I think alts and Bitcoin both get hurt pretty bad. Right? That's kind of the game plan for the rest of the week. I'll be online for the rest of the day. I will see you guys tomorrow for the stream. Thanks everyone for tuning in, and I'll see you guys soon. Peace out.